Hello and welcome everybody to the 26th annual award ceremony for the Environmental Award for Children's Literature. Welcome from right around this beautiful continent, and we just saw some gorgeous imagery on the way in here. What a special country we live in, and today is a truly special event because we are joined by 3 judges and 4 winners of this year's annual Environmental Award for Children's Literature, authors and illustrators. My name's Amelia Young. I'm the National Campaigns Director with the Wilderness Society. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we are gathered today, right around this country, and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd like to extend a special acknowledgement and welcome to any Indigenous Australians with us here today, and acknowledge that wherever we are, we're on stolen land for which sovereignty has never been ceded. Today's event is part of Nature Book Week, and this is our first Nature Book Week here at the Wilderness Society. All week we've been celebrating children's literature and nature. We've had an amazing array of events, some readings, we've heard from some authors. We also had some special events on Tuesday, which was National Threatened Species Day, a day that recognises the plight of native animals, not only here in Australia, but right around the world. And unfortunately, Australia is known as the Wildlife Extinction Nation. And I'm sure that we are all here today because we really want to turn that around, and because we believe that children's literature has a key role to play in that. 25 years ago, people like you and me approached the Wilderness about the role of creativity in inspiring and educating young Australians about nature, and hopefully to grow up and advocate for nature as well, whether that be through the creative arts, whether it be through science and communication, whether it be through marketing and campaigning or education. And the Environmental Award for Children's Literature has continued every year since. This year, as I said, we're in the 26th year. And I couldn't be more pleased to be associated with the Wilderness Society, but also this award, which I think is so vital, especially in a year like 2020, coming out of the really difficult bushfires, confronting and dealing with the global pandemic. We're hearing everywhere that more than ever before, people are truly appreciating nature, healthy, intact ecosystems, and really treasuring the opportunity to get out in nature. And that's one of the reasons I became a forest campaigner, and I'm now National Campaign Director for the Wilderness Society. I spent a lot of time in nature as a kid, but I also read a lot of books. And as a parent, I know that reading literature about nature with children is one of the most important things that we can do as parents, but also as environmental advocates. So today we're lucky enough to have with us our 3 judges and also our 4 winners who share a love of children's literature and of nature. I'd like to give a special shout out to Glebe Books, independent bookstore in Sydney, which is donating 10% of sales of the books that were shortlisted for this year's Environmental Award for Children's Literature. And there'll be a link in the comments of this Zoom webinar where you can purchase any of the books that were shortlisted. I'd like to congratulate all of the authors and illustrators, but also the publishers who were shortlisted for this year's Environment Award for Children's Literature. Without the creative artists, without the science communicators and the storytellers, but also without the publishers and the booksellers, we wouldn't have the rich array of stories and tales and scientific intrigues for younger Australians that we do because of them. So thank you to everyone who has worked so hard to create powerful literature for young Australians about the environment. As I said, this is our first Nature Book Week, and we've also got a wonderful ambassador for Nature Book Week. Without further ado, I'd really love to introduce and hand over to our actor, author and illustrator and Nature Book Week ambassador, Rove McManus. Thanks, Rove.
I'll try and unmute. Maybe that would work better. I'm very good at this, guys. Thank you very much, Amelia. I would just like to reinstate just what an amazing array of titles we have had this year, not just for the awards that we'll be handing out today, but to all the people who've taken part in Nature Book Week. I've been a very proud ambassador for this, and I know a big shout out, of course, to Glebe Books for all they have been doing to be part of this. And I don't want to single out too many bookshops because it would be very unfair, because A, there are a lot of you out there, and B, I haven't been able to cross borders to get to the rest of you. But for those I've seen who have had displays out the front, thank you very much for getting on board. It's been so inspiring to see, not just, of course, yes, the publishers who get behind it and the authors who have these ideas and the incredible illustrators who contribute as well, but of course the bookstores, those places that put these books out there for consumers to find. Thank you very much, all of you, for being on board. And to any of you who have actually taken part in Nature Book Week this year, my first time, I hope we did a good job. Didn't we all enjoy David's reading during the week? One of last year's winners, as he read One Tree earlier this week. I don't know if any of you have otherwise taken part, but we're also not done yet. There's still, today is not just it. Don't just assume it's like the Oscars or the Logies or something and then we all just go home. No, there's still a few days left. We have more webinars and readings to come, contributions from Deadly Science, one of our contributing partners this year, and more readings coming up before the end of the week. So yeah, we're not done yet today. This is just a nice little bit to get you through the hump before the weekend comes. I also want to give a big shout out. We had the launch for Nature Book Week earlier this week on Threatened Species Day. And so many people joined in on our Facebook webinar, all the way from, one person was even watching in Oklahoma in the USA. So thank you very much for taking part. And to Chris Farrell as well, I want to give a shout out, who was just raving about how much he loves nature in our country, and to the point where he's even got his own book himself. So who knows, he might be on the shortlist next year. He said he's going to send me a free copy. It's got heaps of photos of awesome birds, which he knows I love. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, so I'll just leave it at that for now as far as the formalities go. It really has been so wonderful to be part of this incredible initiative for the first year running for Nature Book Week, but to be part of this greater environmental award for children's literature. I'm going to be the first of all the judges today to whinge and moan about, oh, boo-hoo, there were so many awesome books to read this year. But it really was a very tough shortlist to get through as we tried to find our winners. I was a bit of a wuss, and for some of them I just went, it's a tie, and hopefully everyone else will sort it out for me. But I guess we should get straight into it. That's why we're all here. So here we go. This is it. The shortlist for non-fiction. Wonderful books here. Weird, Wild, Amazing. Explore Your World. Hollow is a Home by Abby Mitchell. Fauna, a beautiful book there. And You Can Change the World. This was a very, very tight category. I don't know if I'm allowed to say exactly the number, but the scoring, well, I'm going to say it anyway. I'm an ambassador for crying out loud. If that doesn't give me some sort of power here, I don't know what was. 0.3 of a point. So it was a very tight win, but I'm very pleased and excited to announce that the Environmental Children's Award for Nonfiction goes to Tim Flannery and to Sam Caldwell as well in his illustrations for Weird, Wild, Amazing. This book, look, where do I start? The biggest claim I can give this book is to say that as soon as I read this, I handed it to my daughter and said, you have got to read this. She is 6.5, and she immediately fell in love with it herself, spent most of the school holidays constantly going back to it. It is full of incredible, not just amazing facts, but truly they put the fun in fun fact. And I'll give a special shout out to Sam as well for these beautiful illustrations, the layout and design on this. My family, we have fallen in love with zombie jellyfish. As the book says, are they real? Indeed they are. And not only was this such a popular choice in our house, it has been bought multiple times for my daughter's friends for birthdays. and it has gone down an absolute treat. So sending the message and the love out there. But enough from me. Let us talk to our winning author, Tim Flannery. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much, Rove. I must say I feel just so deeply honoured, and you know, I've read those other books, the other contenders, finalists. They're all fantastic. I don't think my book is any more special than those. As you said, there was a fraction of a percentage point in it, but they're all wonderful books. But I do feel hugely honoured, and I just like to say how fantastic the Wilderness Society has been with this. Imagine running an award like this for 25 years, having the insight to do it, but then the incredible impact that that award has had on people who are now adults, who got into books maybe in part because of this award. So I just feel wonderful to be part of all of that. I must say my reasons for writing the book were a little bit selfish, really. I wrote a book that I always wanted as a kid. I love nature. I could never get enough of it. I was always reading everything I could get my hands on. But there wasn't that book out there that had all of the cool facts that I wanted to know. It seemed to me there wasn't back then, you know, 50 or more years ago. So I decided to write that.
Oh yes, now don't panic everybody. As anyone who was on our webinar knows, Tim's web feed will drop out for about 10 seconds or so, then he'll be back and it will be very exciting. He usually ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, so don't panic. He will be fine. There he is.
No, sorry, mate. Did I drop out? I'm so sorry.
You did, but you're back. You're back.
Okay. I was just thanking Sam for his brilliant illustrations. So just wonderful. When I first saw them, Sam, you knocked my socks off. You captured it so perfectly, the kind of thing I was trying to say. So it was really wonderful. And look, I'm really lucky in that I've been a professional scientist all of my life. So I actually get paid to be out in nature. And when you do that, you feel like you've got to give something back, yeah? So all of those facts and things, or the things I've seen, I thought putting them into a kid's book and just trying to enthuse kids about looking a bit more carefully at the world, maybe considering a career somewhere in the sciences. You know, they're really important things and they're very rewarding, whether it's just a matter of taking a bit more notice of the world around you or, you know, devoting a career to it. I think it's, you know, it's all to be encouraged. I just want to finally mention a couple of things that I discovered that astonished even me when I was researching the book, because you can't know everything, you know. Just the way whales sleep. I thought I knew whales pretty well. I didn't realise that sperm whales sleep standing up. They stand on their tails to sleep. And when you tell that to kids, it's kind of like, wow, it's an eye-opening moment. The zombie jellyfish, of course, has to take just about pride of place. I mean, imagine a creature that can die, its corpse can rot away, but some living cells escape from that corpse and join together to form a little mini-me jellyfish that grows back again. Unbelievable. You know, not to mention the naked mole rat, of course, which it regulates its whole colony through drinking the queen's urine and eating her feces, and it never gets cancer. I don't know whether those facts are linked, but there they are. But anyway, could I just finish up by saying thank you. I hope that lots and lots of kids get to read the book as a result of the awards. And I just think that all of the entries that I've seen in that award have been fantastic. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Tim, and congratulations once again. I, again, cannot stress enough how much information there is in here, and thank you for passing that on to us for the next generation. Congratulations, a very worthy winner. But, guys, one person can come up with all the awesome ideas in a book. Anyone can write them down on a page. It really takes someone creative to do just, look at that incredible layout on the cover. It's just the tip of the iceberg of some of these incredible illustrations inside. And that is the wonderful work of Sam Caldwell. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's such a privilege and an honour to be given this award. I'm incredibly proud of this book. Yeah, I think it turned out so great. Yeah, so thanks to Tim for all his fantastic writing. But I mean, and the team at Hardy Grant, the publishers. But I think the person who I really need to shout out is the designer and the art director on the project, Pooja, who was just absolutely fantastic. Like, just endless buckets of enthusiasm and just brilliant art direction. She was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, a lot of credit needs to go to her. But yeah, I'm just over the moon with it. It's just really brilliant. Yeah, and a big thanks to Katie and everybody at the illustration room for setting it all up. And yeah, everybody at the Wilderness Society for this award. It's fantastic.
Well, congratulations to the two of you. That is our non-fiction book winner. It is now time to hand over to our next judge, who, look, it turns out we're both wearing the right thing for today. She is a former field ecologist who now not only teaches, lectures, and heads the Melbourne University Science and Communication Teaching Department. She invented it. And I know that she too has had just a horrible time trying to pick a winner for these categories. So I'll hand you now over to Dr. Jen Martin.
Thank you so much, Rove. Is this where I get to whinge and moan about how hard our
Please
job
do,
was to
and
be
you got to
judges?
do the boo-hoo face.
Yeah, the boo-hoo face. But I mean, seriously, what an honour to be a judge for this award, and warmest congratulations, Tim and Sam. My kids also got seriously into your book. I have the honour today of announcing our picture fiction winner. But before I do that, I just want to tell you about something else really wonderful that is coming from these awards. So as you know, the 10 books, well, maybe you don't know, but the 10 books that we got to pore over as judges, they were the shortlist, but they actually came from a long list of, I think, around 70 books. And the publishers are wonderful enough to provide multiple copies of each of those books in preparation for them to be judged if they end up being selected for the shortlist. So that should lead you to think, well, hang on, what happens to all of those wonderful books? I'm sure they don't just sit there somewhere in the Wilderness Society. And of course, that's not what's happening. Instead, they are going to find incredibly good homes in some remote Indigenous communities. So the Nawadakan Academy in West Arnhem Land and some various other remote Indigenous schools via Corey Tutt's incredible initiative, Deadly Science. So there's, I think, about 350 books heading out to these remote Indigenous areas where there are schools that just couldn't imagine anything more wonderful than being sent boxes of incredible books about nature. And I just say hats off to everyone involved. I think that's just a really superb outcome. So well done, everybody. But now I do have the honour of talking about the picture fiction category, and my kids played a very important role in helping to judge these awards. We separated the books out between us, and we all read them independently and took notes and did our scores and compared and had all these great discussions. And I mean, really, it was a super tough job. So we have One Tree, which is kind of about hope and the love that comes from growing plants in busy cities. And then we have Willem, which is about all of the wildlife that we know and love living along Birrarung, the Yarra River. And the Fade of Fausto, which is this incredible precautionary tale about kind of what happens when we don't love or respect or try and understand nature. All absolutely incredible books. But it's my pleasure to announce that the winner of this year's award in the picture fiction category is One Careless Night by Christina Booth. This absolutely stunning, stunning book. Christina, my family just fell in love with this book. This is the story of Benjamin, the last Tasmanian tiger, who was captured in the wild, taken to Hobart Zoo, and then died alone one night when her keeper forgot to put her into her shelter one cold night. And that night was September the 7th, 1936, so hence the title One Careless Night. And that's why we celebrate National Threatened Species Day on the 7th of September every year. And I guess that's why we're celebrating Nature Book Week this week. And this book is just stunning in every sense. The language, the illustrations, just absolutely beautiful. And I have to say, it's really stayed with me. I've gone back to it a few times, and I actually went back to it this morning and got quite choked up reading it. I mean, it's a story I knew, but Christina, the way you've told it and the way you've illustrated is just really special. And my daughter commented afterwards that this book reminds her that she has to treasure things that she has, because you never know when it might be too late to realize how special something is, which really showed me how special this book is and how meaningful it can be for kids to treasure nature. So Christina, my warmest congratulations. Your writing and illustrations are just absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much, and thank you. I'm really honoured to accept this award, and I've had a lot of conversations across Australia with students, and it's quite interesting the difference between speaking to Tasmanian children and students in Sydney as to what conversations we have, but they are all much the same as your daughter. And there is one place I did go to, though, that they educated me further about Tasmanian tigers. I won't say where it is in case they get inundated, but they were explaining to me what they look like at dusk at night in their backyards, because they are living deep in somewhere in the middle of Tassie. And they truly believe that they still have them, because supposedly they come to visit. But I'm really thrilled to receive this award. And I live in the city where part of this story takes place, and that's where the zoo is, up on the Domain. And I won't repeat what you've already said. So about Now Threatened Species Day, which we've just had, and so it's 84 years and 3 days since we lost that last captive thylacine, and the one that was considered to be the last one that we had. And I know, as a creator of books that are about our environment, we don't do them to win awards, but it's really nice too sometimes, so that we can know that the books are getting out there, and that message is getting out there to all the kids and to adults as well. And so I'd like to really thank everyone that's helped me bring this book together. And first of all, my fantastic family. They've been so supportive. They give me time, and I love you and thank you. I know that my parents are actually watching today, so that's really exciting. I think it's their first Zoom session, so that's really cool. I want to thank the Wilderness Society and all who are involved in maintaining and running this really important award. Thank you for your vision and in keeping it alive. We did nearly lose it, and so I'm really pleased that we still have it. It's really important to celebrate the work of Australian creators who are writing about our environment. To the judges, I've actually been a judge before, so I really appreciate the time and the effort you've had to put in, and that really hard decision making. So thank you for that time and that consideration. To my fellow authors and creators, we're never in competition with each other, but we don't write to win awards, as I've said. However, it's really nice to be standing together and continuing to tell stories that need to be told. So thank you so much for everything that you do too. And I want to thank my publisher, Walker Books, and my agent, Brian, for their ongoing support and belief in this book. But a special thank you to Mary Ann Ballantyne and Dolan Rawlings, who fell in love with this story and shared my passion to bring it to life. And eternal thanks and gratitude for believing in me and how important this story is. They just helped me breathe life into Benjamin again. This story is about the decimation of species at the hands of humanity, and it's set in the past, but it's also the story of now, and it's the story of every extinct species. It's the story of every endangered species, the orange-bellied parrot, every koala, tiger, gorilla, elephant, piranha, or as we otherwise call them, Tasmanian devil, giraffe, orangutan, tiger, gorilla, elephant. That's just naming a few. So I hope that this book helps to highlight all of those species that need our help, and their stories, hope that their stories don't end the way that the thylacines did. So again, thank you so much for the honour of this award, and stay safe, everybody.
Thank you so much, Christina, and congratulations again. And here, I couldn't agree more. I mean, Benjamin's tale is an important one in and of itself, but it's such a symbol for what we are standing to lose right now if we don't look after our wildlife and our environment better. So thank you so much. And now it is my great pleasure to hand over to our next judge, our third and final judge, David Lawrence, who absolutely has so much to offer us because he is one of last year's winning authors. So I look forward very much to hearing what David has to say, and he is in charge of the fiction category. So over to you, David, on the other side of the table this year.
Thank you very much for that very kind introduction, Jenny, and I might apologise up front for my ISO hairstyle. I'm clearly coming to you from Victoria. But the first thing I want to say to everyone out there is Happy Nature Book Week. It has been an amazing week, as Rove alluded to at the start. And I've loved my minor involvement, which started back on Tuesday, by reading this incredible book, One Tree, by Christopher Cheng and Bruce Watley. An absolutely brilliant book. And that's still up, I think, on the on the Wilderness Society page on Facebook. So please check that out. But wait, there's more, because on Saturday, I'm going to be reading another finalist, The Fade of Fausto, live at 1 p.m. So please check in and check that out. It's a fantastic fable for kids and adults. And he's a very, very angry man, Fausto, quite reminiscent of a certain US president. But anyway, we'll move on straight away from there and get stuck into reading out who our winner is today. There were two books in this final category. The first was Echo Rangers by Candice, the Micro Bat Mayhem by Candice Lemon Scott. Love this book. It's two young kids who are just great role models for other kids. They love their environment and they actually do something about it. So, and they do that within a really cracking story with laughs and a lot of adventure. Just a brilliant book. And the other finalist is Super Sidekicks Book 2, Ocean's Revenge, Gavin Untang. It is just a sensational book. The illustrations have to be seen to be believed. And really importantly, there's a great message in there about plastic, which is very close to my heart. And Maxie, who I co-wrote the first book with. So, time to announce our winner. Let's see the wrong. The winner is, for this year's Environmental Awards for Children's Literature in the Fiction category, Gavin Untang, Super Sidekicks 2, Ocean's Revenge. A huge round of applause to Gavin for this book, which I'll just say before I hand over to you, Gavin, this is going to make kids read about the environment and learn about, it is just so readable. The story's cool. The superheroes are funny and the illustrations are just mind-blowing. There is not a kid in Australia who wouldn't enjoy this book, but it also has that incredibly important message, as I said, about plastic. So congratulations, really deserving winner. It's a masterpiece.
Thanks so much, David. I don't know if it's a masterpiece, but I'll take it. Thank you. Yeah, it's a huge honor. Just like to thank the three judges, the Wilderness Society, for having this great initiative every year. Yeah, I didn't really set out to make a message book, teach kids a lesson. I was just reading an article one day about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which you might have heard of, which is, a horrible giant swath of plastic in our ocean, in the Pacific Ocean. I just, read it, didn't think any more of it. But then when it came time to think of like an evil threat that the super psychics must face, the idea just kind of popped into my head, what if that giant patch of garbage actually became alive and became a giant monster and came to take revenge on humanity for destroying the ocean. So that's how the kind of idea came. Those are the best ideas, where they just kind of come spontaneously. So yeah, I managed to kind of not only be able to tell this exciting superhero adventure of the sidekicks trying to save Sydney from this giant plastic monster, but in that story I could kind of sneak in like a sneaky message about all the plastic in the oceans and the horrible job our politicians are doing of trying to fix it. So yeah, thanks again. It's a huge honor. I'd just like to thank my publisher, Penguin Random House, in particular my longtime editor and publisher, Zoe Walton, who's kind of believed in the project from the start. So thank you to her. Again, it's a huge honor, and hopefully, with this award, more and more kids can kind of find the book and can kind of learn about the horrible job we've done with in destroying our oceans. So yeah, I think it's my job to actually hand it back over to Amelia. So thanks again. I really appreciate it. And I'll swing it back to Amelia.
Thanks so much, Gavin, and thank you to all of our authors, illustrators, judges, publishers, booksellers, and everyone who's joined us today. I've certainly learnt some cool facts. I didn't know that sperm whales sleep vertically, and those zombie jellyfish, they really do sound like something very paranormal. What incredible insight and wisdom from Jen's child, who reminds us all that we need to treasure what we have. And Christina, the mystery and wonder of the natural world and the absolute intrigue of just thinking that out there in the wilds of Tasmania somewhere, people believe they see the thylacine still, and they probably do. So thank you for sharing that, and also the power of that hope and wonder that's behind your incredible story that, as you say, is for kids and adults. And I think this is true. All of us have today spoken about how much as adults we've taken away from these books as well. So do turn up to hear David read one of our shortlisted books later on as part of Nature Book Week. Don't miss hearing from one of the previous winners, even if it might remind you of Trump. I think David's a bit worried about that. But hopefully, like all good stories, there's a transformation and the villain is overcome at the end. I'd really like to thank all of our authors and illustrators who were shortlisted, particularly congratulate our winners. Also warmly thank our judges. Thank you so much, Jen Martin, David Lawrence, and Nature Book Week Ambassador, Rove McManus. Thank you all for joining us today, and happy reading.